Okay, so today we are here to talk about how we're using PFL and tactile marketing as part of our marketing strategy. So to give you a step back, I intentionally put up a very technical slide for you because who is Arxan? That's one of our biggest challenges in the market. Nobody knows who we are. So Arxan is a small cybersecurity player. We're based out of San Francisco. And we're sort of in a niche segment in the security space. So, it's up and coming, it's an emerging technology. The company's been around for 20 years, but the adoption in the market is still pretty new because people aren't aware of the problem that they actually have with regards to their applications and what kind of attack surface is being opened up as the result of all sorts of new trends. As marketers, we know everyone's talking about increased performance, customer experience. We all know that if your website is slow, or if if you've got any lag time or slow load, slow page load times, things like that, you can lose customers, and that means revenue. So all of these trends are saying okay, make things faster, smoother, better for your customers. Well, the problem with that from a cybersecurity perspective is that a lot of the business logic of your applications is now being moved to the client side, to the front side, to the web page, to the mobile application. And when you move that business logic to the front side of your portfolio, it comes out from behind the firewall, out from behind the moat that companies build around their security systems. And now all of a sudden your critical business applications are outside of the perimeter and out in the wild, as we call it, appropriate for Montana, and they're unprotected. So for us, we're trying to figure out how do we break through the clutter and how do we build awareness for the problem that we're trying to solve with our technology. There's a lot of crazy words on here and acronyms, a lot of things that people don't understand. Even some of our target audience members don't necessarily know what we're talking about and what's at risk. So we have a big problem to solve in terms of, making our message concise and easily consumable for that person. As a little bit of background, I used to be a CPG marketer back in the day. I worked for Johnson & Johnson consumer products companies, and I used to pitch things like Band-Aid brand and Neosporin, Listerine, some brands that you might have heard of. And here, when you're dealing with retail and packaging, you're on a shelf in a store, there's a 5x5 rule. In 5 seconds from 5 feet away, can you communicate your message and get someone to pick up that package versus something else on the shelf? So, Tiffany and I, when we started thinking about, PFL and how we could integrate this into our marketing strategy, we said, great. So how do we simplify our message and be able to capture someone's attention and explain what we do in kind of a 5x5, methodology. In 5 seconds, can somebody look at a piece of collateral material and understand what we do, or what that singular message is that we want to deliver? Okay, so our challenge, hard to reach buyer. Who in here is trying to reach a CISO? Who's trying to reach a CIO? Okay, so I'm competing against all of you and all of your email messages and all of your direct mail messages to try to deliver a message about a niche product. Sorry, my slide's on. Oh, there we go. I'm trying to explain something very technical in a niche market segment that most people don't think they need, but they really do, at a premium price point. Our average deal size is $170,000 for one application. So, our deal size is getting to millions of dollars very quickly. But, when you're trying to convince someone who doesn't know what you do, who doesn't know who you are, who doesn't think they have a problem, to spend $170,000, it's like, okay, we got to get creative. So this is where PFL came in. And Andrew, I don't know if you're here, but you totally stole our presentation yesterday. But we were coordinated, right? So what Tiffany and I figured out is basically, we don't have, since we're a smaller company, we don't have massive budgets. We don't have, we don't have unlimited resources to, implement these campaigns. So we had to be really, really thoughtful around how we started to use PFL as part of our ABM strategy. So we know with our technology, we know the verticals we're winning in. We know the use cases that are really strong. For us, mobile banking applications. How many people have a mobile banking application on their phone? Do you guys have any idea if it might be protected? If it's a US bank, probably not. You might not want to use those anymore. But so, we know, we know where we're really strong. We know where we need to break through. And we know the messages that are really going to resonate with our target audience. So we really wanted to start off with, let's design with intent. Really understand what we're trying to do with these packages before, before we move forward and just start brainstorming. So know our audience. We talked about this a little bit. Who are we trying to reach? What are the problems they're trying to solve? If we're designing something for a lower level person in the organization, or if we're designing something that's more of like a C-level conversation starter. Different messages for different levels in the organization to get that conversation started. So really understanding our audience was a key priority. Understanding the problem. So once again, depending on the person and what their role is, what are they really grappling with, and then how do we make a message that's relevant to them that will actually break through and get them to start thinking about the problem that we're trying to help them solve. And finally, we can all get, we all have the tendency like, okay, there's so many different things we can say. How do we really narrow it down to that one singular message? What's the CTA? What do we want to do out of this? And don't get distracted by the 50 million other things that we can talk about. There's always more you can say, but you know what? It's for a different piece of collateral as a different part of the campaign. And finally for us, which is I think where we have a lot of the fun, is what is that experience when you're actually unboxing, whatever this program is going to be. It has to be something that is engaging, gets them thinking, and will ultimately get them to give us a call and say, hey, we want a meeting. Because that's essentially what we want to do with all of our programs. So Andrew was basically going through this framework yesterday, not in the same exact format, but you can feel free to steal this if you'd like. It works for us. So today we're going to go through a tale of 3 of our campaigns and walk you through exactly how we started to bring this to life.
All right, so the first campaign case study I'll walk you through, we were focusing on awareness. So as Deb set up in the super complex cybersecurity space, people may not be thinking about application security yet. And they don't even know to say, I don't know, I have a problem. But we're here, and we're here to tell them that, yes, you do. Think about it. So pretty simple. The goal of this campaign was to just get our target audience thinking about a problem, helping introduce it. So we needed to design a piece of content that was going to help us introduce the app security risk to a totally uninitiated audience. And we developed a very straightforward 9-question, yes-no question questionnaire with very simple questions that didn't get into all the crazy technical details, like, does your app generate revenue for your organization? Do your customers log in? Do you conduct transactions? So something that just anyone on the team can start to think about is like, oh, my app does do that, and it gets the conversation going. So we knew we needed to focus this for mid-level managers because we've seen through our data that it tends to be this persona who is the one doing the research initially and is going to be presenting their findings to their team. Here's the problem, here's the solutions. And we know that there's 2 mindsets. They haven't even thought about it at all because they're just not aware. Or if they have, they don't realize how much is actually in their app being accessed. So again, they still don't think they have a problem. So the one singular message, the one clear message we wanted them to take away was, oh, yeah, wow, my app really is at risk. So the experience is quite straightforward. Take the questionnaire. So they would receive a FedEx envelope with this quad-fold brochure that we designed on brand with this question to hopefully help entice them to at least like open the brochure. They open it up, they learn a little bit more about the different levels of risk their application could pose for there. And then right there you have the 9 questions with the yes, no tick boxes, paper you can write on, not glossy. And we also sent them a branded pen, and it wasn't just to give them a piece of swag, right? Like the pen was immediately useful because they could right there start interacting with the questions. So they go through, answer the questions, reflect, think about their app, and then they can open the next part of the brochure, and it outlines the risk levels for each of the questions and why they're important. So we're helping educate them, helping them learn about the problem, and then learn more about Arxan, what we protect against, and how we can do that. There's a call to action, of course, if they are like ready to talk to us right then. If not, the BDRs have been notified via Salesforce to follow up and then have very concrete things to start a conversation, right? So how'd you answer number 5 sort of thing? So we're already seeing some early success with it. We know it's making our prospects think, and it's actually rolling into some larger campaigns. We've also done batch prints to use at trade shows. So, the walk-bys, the brochure catches their attention, they grab it, and it starts a conversation. Or at executive events where you have the one-on-one kind of like speed dating meetings, you can be sitting across the table from a prospect, they go through the questions, and they're like, oh, shoot, yeah, so how can you guys help me? Because I said yes to all of these. And we've just launched a digital campaign as well, so turning that questionnaire into a landing page with the digital kind of nurture flows with the content that follows. A relatively cost-effective campaign, $6,500 to produce the 250 that are sent through Swag IQ. And importantly, the sales team loves it. They are actually really happy to use it because they see it be a great conversation starter, and it helps them just get on, just get the conversation started. And we have some of our senior AEs even requesting it for some of their events. So, it gets the conversation going.
And on that one, just as a side note, this is actually the most recent campaign that we launched, so we kind of did things a little backwards. But we don't have an ROI metric on it yet because it's relatively new, so we're still tracking it. But we're obviously using these pieces in different areas. But the initial feedback, especially since I've actually been in some of those C-level meetings where we're handing them the brochure. I mean, one of the customers actually sat there and went through and said like, "Oh, questionnaire, yes, 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 yes. So you're telling me that I'm effed?" And we're like, well, not entirely, but you may want to have another conversation with us. So anyway, our second campaign was really talking about, educating people on the problem and the seriousness of the problem. So, the first piece gets us thinking, I don't have a problem. It's like, do you? Are you sure? This one is the same thing. It's like, I don't have a problem. Yeah, I've got stuff in my app, but it's really not a problem. Yes, you do. Here's how big it is. This is our next campaign. So the goal here was to really light a fire and drive urgency for somebody to take that next meeting with us and to start a conversation and maybe even take this as far as going into like a proof of concept type engagement with the customer. So for us, a proof of concept, our win rate out of proof of a concept is about 90%. So it's really, really high. So if we can get someone into that stage, that's a really big step for us as a marketing team. So this report, we actually worked with an industry analyst to do some vulnerability research into financial mobile applications. So we had a really strong piece of content where essentially the analyst went, she downloaded 30 mobile banking applications from around the world and was able to hack and reverse engineer into every single one of them in under 8.5 minutes. So this campaign was bringing that to life. Once again, this is part of a integrated campaign. So this is just one of the elements of it. But for us, this piece is something that a C-suite, or senior level executive can actually physically take and drop on the table of a board of directors. Analyst research, very clear findings. This is a very weighty piece of content. So we wanted to make sure it was designed very nicely and gets the point across. So a couple things here. Because this was financial services, we had another little element to consider here in terms of the cost of the piece and how it came together. So for financial services institutions, most of them have a gift policy of nothing over $25. So as we designed the piece, we wanted to make sure it was something that came in a FedEx envelope, would get through security and not get denied, and was something that looked more like an official document that someone would really want to open up. And once again, the problem here is these people don't think they have a problem. So how do we get them to really understand? Yes, you do have a problem. Let's show you how bad it is. We don't like fear-mongering, by the way, so this is all very just factual stuff that we're presenting. So the clear message coming out of this is, I think I have a big problem that I got to solve. So that's what we want them to take away. So once again, FedEx envelope, where you open it up, and this is actually like a record cover. So I don't know if you guys have seen like the PFL greatest hits, piece that they do. So we kind of did a riff off of that and said, what if we had a record cover? And for us, because we're deep within the technology of an application, we actually embed our security in the code of the application. We figured, what if we made this interactive? So for us, it's an analyst research report, and the key takeaway of it is, what does your code reveal? So what we did was, these are actually little perforated tabs. Pull it back, and it shows you what is at risk inside of your code based on the research report results. So you can tear tab these back, and right on the front cover, it's like, what does my code reveal? Oh, logins, keys, APIs, PII. Ooh, yeah, I want to read more. So then you slide out the report, and here's your key takeaway. 8.5 minutes is the amount of time it took to crack these applications. So now people are like, okay, now I want to read more. And then on the back of the piece, we just had a little summary of, this is how Arxan can help. And, we obviously have the BDR team following up. We have the custom, note card in there as well. So we have the custom message on how you can set up a next step, and then the BDRs can customize that message into the client. But, this piece has, once again, got really, really positive reviews from the people that have received it. And, we're getting requests to batch print this and take it to events. So there's a common theme here. So in terms of the results of this campaign, PFL was able to help us bring the message to life in a very interactive way that really gets the message across, which was really important for us. It's driving demos and pipeline growth. So once again, it's a newer campaign, so this launched in May, so we still are tracking the ROI, but the early feedback that we're getting from our team is that it's reaching the right people, and it's getting response rates back. So that's a great early indicator for us. This campaign was a little bit more expensive, obviously, because of the the way that the piece came together with the tear tabs and then obviously the piece inside of it. But we did 400 pieces, and the cost is about $10,000 for this campaign. So, really reasonable for really taking that campaign to the next level. And I expect that we're going to see really phenomenal ROI on this program in general once, we can start to see the results come through. Our life cycles are also 12 months, so it takes us quite a while for those deals to come to fruition. But we do see the early indicators of the pipeline growth, which is usually pretty strong. Once again, our sales team loves it.
And they're our number one customer in a lot of ways. So whenever our sales team loves everything and something that we're doing, it's always a good sign. Especially when they ask for more, So when somebody is asking me like, hey, can I get some of those to take to an event with me or to go, to a customer meeting and drop that on, with a customer, obviously that's a good early sign of success. But I think the most important thing is, this is a piece of collateral that is, as I said, is something that you can put on the table in a board of directors meeting, and it has that weight to it that will make an impact. Our boss actually took it to our board of directors, and one of our board of directors members took the piece and was like, I'm taking this home with me. So that was pretty cool.
All right. So then the last campaign we'll walk you through was actually the first one we launched, because like Deb said, we did a little ad order. But this one was down into the consideration phase. So we knew the prospects had at least interacted with some of our content, maybe even had an early conversation or two with our BDRs. But they still hadn't made a decision. They're still trying to get their heads wrapped around things. So we were starting to hear things like, well, okay, I have a problem, but it's not really that bad. But we have the ability to say, yes, it is, and we can show you. So the goal of this campaign was to get that meeting, to have that conversation, to let us show them how at risk their apps potentially are, and get to that POC, right, that has that really high close rate afterwards. So this actually corresponded with a solution launch, which is why it launched first. So we wanted to find a way to bring a very technical solution to life. So as Deb mentioned, our technology is implemented from within the app, which the cool thing about that is that we can also hook it up with sensors that essentially send data back to the organization from within your app. So that gives organizations data that they've never had access to before. In fact, this is a differentiator for us as a company because no one else does it the way we do it. And it gives our customers information about, oh, this app is running in a risky environment because someone's jailbroken their device and bypassed device security measures, all the way to, oh, someone is actually reverse engineering your app and poking at it. So it's really cool, unprecedented data, but still super technical when you break it down how it actually all works. So knowing the right audience to get in front of for this one, we knew we needed to reach 2 targets actually. So this has to go to the C-suite. They're the ones that need to buy in, sign off the premium price point. But we also needed to work with the implementation managers to show them how seamlessly this can integrate with their process, because they're going to be the ones hooking up the apps with all these cool guards and sensors. And again, since it is kind of unprecedented data, they are unaware or they just don't have the information they need to take action. And so the key takeaway was wait, what? You can do that? I really need to see this. So the experience was to really see and illustrate the value. And tour group 2 yesterday, got to see these on the shelf in the warehouse. I got really excited to see our inventory. So this time we did do a dimensional box because we really wanted to create a kind of visceral experience with how this comes to life. So, they receive the box, it's branded, slip some messaging in there that we're the leader in application protection. And on the top of the box, there's this kind of compelling or provocative question to entice people to look inside the box. We know that most people can't answer this yes, right? They have to answer this no. So they open up the box to find, the print-on-demand card with a customized message from the VDR, a branded blacklight flashlight, and a little bit of some messaging and a note. So they see the note to reveal a hidden message within the box using the blacklight flashlight, and they can find, you miss 100% of the threats you can't see. And that's a really critical part of our message, right? And helping explain the value and kind of, building them along oh, this is a problem that you have. We loved this. This was a collaboration with our PFL team on kind of connecting in a fun way what our solution does for them through their apps, but with like a fun, very, very easy to understand experience. And, you know, they did it themselves with a branded flashlight we gave them. So Arxan gives you the tools to uncover this additional data that you need. And it's fun, it's clever. And then, you know, we're not just making this stuff up. There's a little brochure in there that does get into more of the technical details to back up the claims and entice them to want to take a meeting with us. So we know this one's making an impact. We also launched this one first, so we have more data. So it really is hitting home. Like it does, our prospects do understand it. And so far, it's influenced 10 opportunities that has resulted in nearly 4 million in pipeline, and an average deal size that's more than twice our average. So it's also helping us sell. You know, it is a dimensional piece, so it's about 13K, but on 3.8 million pipeline, feeling pretty good about those eventual ROI numbers. And yes, our sales team loves it. When we unveiled this at sales kickoff, one of our VPs interrupted me to say, I know 10 people I want to send this to right now. I want to send this to everyone. Because it does grab attention and it really communicates a very technical message in a pretty easy way, easy to understand. And it's fun. One of the extra things that we did kind of give as swag was the invisible ink pen, but that's fun. Why not? So this is actually a direct quote from an email one of our BDR sent us from one of his prospects. So she said, "This is the best piece of marketing content I've ever received and is the main reason I'm requesting a meeting and a demo. So please give kudos to the marketing team for thinking outside the box." Felt pretty good to say that, to receive that. It's kind of funny, we were thinking outside the box about what goes inside the box, but hey, it worked.
Alrighty, and the thing about this too was this is one of the first little stories that we heard. But Voya Financial, I mean, large organization. We've got I think it's about a $400,000 deal on the table with them right now that is continuing as a result of this. Another separate anecdote that we got on this was our BDR sent the box to the CISO and the person in charge of application security that he had been trying to cold call an email for a year and was getting nowhere with, but he knew that this lower level person was the decision maker and was the person who was going to have to move this project forward. So send it to the CISO, send it to him. And the CISO called our BDR on the phone personally and said, "Holy cow, this is so cool. I went and dropped it on the desk of this person and saw that he already had one on his desk." And I said, "Open that, call him, and set up a meeting next week. I want to talk." So it was great because it totally achieved our message. We'd been getting totally ignored by the person that we needed to talk to. And the CISO saw it and was like, "Call these people right now," which was wonderful. Okay, so back to the framework and wrapping up here. So, hopefully, we've given you a sense of, just our approach to how we've been working with PFL over the past 6 months, 7 months. Yeah. I mean, so this was this was new for us. I mean, so to, some of the conversations yesterday around the new services that PFL has to offer, around professional services and helping get started. We had no idea what we were doing in January. When we started this, we're doing ABM and, we're building our tech stack. So we did a lot of things to put a lot of insights together to get us to this point. We're using demand-based, so we're getting intent insights so we can know more about who our audience is and when to trigger, these campaign sends. We're using Engagio to have like lower funnel information. We integrated with PFL. We use Marketo, so it's like, we're working on the automation side of things as well. But it all comes together, and our campaigns are coming together really to focus on, how do we get these like very clear messages in a fun, engaging way to get people to really think like, oh, okay, this is something new. It's not what I've thought about. And yes, I should probably have a conversation with Arxan. So our key takeaways, how to stand out. I cannot emphasize it enough that the time that we spend thinking about, the program, how it's going to complement the rest of our marketing strategy, what our goals are, what we want the piece to drive, how it's going to interact with, our other programs, who's going to do the execution, what that message is going to be, what the experience is going to be. We spend a lot of time up front doing that to make sure that we really nail the execution and the message and, and what we're trying to accomplish. We track everything. We try not to get into the analysis paralysis thing, but we really want to make sure we have very clear CTAs and we have very clear metrics that we're judging each campaign against. So, I'm sorry that we didn't have more metrics in this presentation, but 2 of the campaigns have launched in the last 30 to 60 days, so we don't really have those numbers yet. But we really want to make sure that it's achieving our goal, so we can figure out later on, are we going to repeat this campaign? Are we going to do something different? Did it work? Did it not? All that good stuff. And once again, the clear singular message. What is that one thing that we want people to walk away with? With the analyst report, it's like, crap, my app can get attacked in 8.5 minutes. Maybe I should call my IT guy and ask him, can this happen to us? Most of the time, they come back with the answer, yeah, it can. Tying the experience back to the message. We don't have the luxury of being able to send just all the really cool swag that we want. There's a lot of tchotchkes given out in security, with all the different trade shows and all this kind of stuff. We just don't have the budget for that. So we want to make sure that whatever we're putting in these packages is meaningful. The brochure with the risk assessment, we just put a branded pen, very simple, but it helps them actually fill out the quiz right then and there. So there's a purpose to it. The blacklight flashlight, it was cool because you can play around with it, and then these guys get engaged, and now they're writing notes to each other in black lights around their office and whatnot. But it was a purpose to reveal something that can't be seen right now, and it was innovative technology that doesn't exist today in the market. So it was a good way to bring it to life. And then the whole advent calendar, peel back the. That was just personally one of my favorites. Too bad we didn't have a chocolate in there, but next time. And then the last thing is just have fun with this. Tiffany and I sit there and we, go through our slog of meetings during the week, and then it's we see the PFL weekly meeting come up, and we're yes, let's go have some fun. Do
you want to have a fun meeting now?
Do you want to have a fun meeting now?
Do you want to review the creative? Let's do it.
So for us, I think we, even Jordan's in the audience here, we're sitting there over a drink last night, and we started brainstorming our next campaign. We're hey, from some of the ideas we saw yesterday and everything, we're couldn't we do something like this? So I think we've already kind of brainstormed a really cool idea to help with a new concept that we're developing, and I think it'll be a lot of fun to really bring that to life and see, based on our kind of back of the cocktail napkin idea session last night, what PFL can bring to the table to help us really bring that to life. But this is what we really enjoy, the creative side of things, and hopefully it shows in the content and the materials that we've pulled together. So we got a lot more to come.
Stay tuned.
So stay tuned. And we've been told that we can't have questions.
Time for questions.
But Tiffany will be around if you want to track her down. I have to go to the airport and go to our sales meeting in San Antonio.
Yes. So yeah, just come find me on the breaks or the cocktail hour if you have questions, and I'm happy to chat with you.
Yeah. So thank you.